The story of Indian Rocks is a miracle story. In 1950, Pinellas County was a sleepy little island town, a peninsula off of a peninsula with very little access to the mainland. Cow pastures, orange groves, and swampland filled the county, but all of that was about to change. 75 years ago, in 1950, the population of our county was about 150,000 people. In 1954, the Sunshine Skyway Bridge opened, and in 1960, the Howard Franklin Bridge opened, causing the population to skyrocket to 375,000 people. By 1970, our population was over 500,000, and by 1980, the population was nearly 750,000. Today, 1 million people call Pinellas County home. In 1958, there was a small group of Christian leaders who were called together for a private meeting. They recognized the growth of our region, and they were compelled to develop a strategy to reach our city for Christ. 9 families. That's who was in the room, just 9 families. You had the Bryans, the Bellews, the Harnishes, the Lows, the Pruitts, the Shepherds, the Wades, and the Whites, and finally, Lester Huxtable, a retired pastor, a senior adult who agreed to lead this group. And out of that meeting, Indian Rocks Church was birthed. These people and many others gave of their time, they gave of their talent, and they gave of their treasure. One person donated their house as a temporary meeting space until the church building was built. Some members personally cleared land for their first building. One senior adult couple, they knew they were going to heaven soon and they didn't have much money to give. They found out about the vision of this church and they put their wedding rings in the offering plate. These people were relentless. Fast forward to 2025 and our church is one of the healthiest churches in the nation. We have over 5,000 members who call Indian Rocks their church home. Throughout our history, we baptized over 10,000 members. We've sent out missionaries all over the world, and 40 years ago, we started Indian Rocks Christian School. Now, our school is the largest Christian school in the entire west coast of Florida. But none of this would have happened if it weren't for those 9 families in the 1950s. Our city, well, it's changing again, but our mission remains the same. We want to bring the life-changing message of the gospel to every person in Pinellas County and beyond. Today, Florida is one of the fastest growing states in the nation. We've surpassed New York as the 3rd most populated state. 1,000 people a day move to Florida, and many of them want to live on the coast. It's as if God is bringing the people right to our doorsteps. Not only is the state of Florida growing, our church is growing. In the past 2 years, Indian Rocks has added 1,000 new members. We've seen over 500 people go public in their faith through baptism. Have you noticed the growth on Sunday mornings? Our average weekend attendance has grown by nearly 1,200 people. Our youth group has quadrupled in size. God is on the move. And it's not just in English, our Spanish church is growing too. Indian Rocks in Espanol has become the largest and fastest growing Spanish church in our county. What began with just a handful of people now has nearly 200 members every single week. And it's not just our church, our school is bursting at the seams too. In the past few years, our school has grown from about 800 students to about 1,200 students. That's a 50% increase. Each year, we receive about 800 inquiries from prospective students. But next year, we only have room to admit 180 of those. Most grade levels are already full. They have waiting lists for next year. We simply don't have room to accommodate more growth. So what's our solution to all this growth? Well, we're going to do what Indian Rocks has always done. We're going to soar forward. The Soaring Forward initiative started last year as a way for us to address some of these growth challenges. In 2021, we stepped out in faith by renovating the old balcony into classrooms for our middle school. This addition allowed us to grow our school by 100 students just in middle school. Last year, we added 2 new youth spaces for our student ministry, and these spaces are now filled with teenagers every single week. Last year, we baptized 77 teenagers. These spaces are also used for our fine arts program in the school. We added 2 artificial turf practice fields for school recess and for our recreation outreach ministry. We added new playground equipment for our lower school elementary students. We added additional parking to the main entrance of our church. In addition to addressing the growth, we've also invested heavily in safety and security for our school. Ballistic glass was added to the first floor of our entire campus. Key fob access was installed at all entry points. A fenced-in courtyard provides safety to our students while they're changing classes. We're making Indian Rocks the safest school in Pinellas County. We hired an architect to help us develop a master plan for our campus as we envision the next season of sustainable ministry. We want to maximize every square inch of our property as we invest in the next generation. In 2025, you'll see us focus on 5 major construction projects. First, a new chapel and office complex. Our former student ministry building will be outfitted as a chapel and a church office complex. A state-of-the-art 300-seat chapel will become the new home for Indian Rocks in Espanol, providing room for growth and expansion of our Spanish church. This chapel will also allow us to host functions during school hours without being on school property. Weddings and funerals, 50s+ events, women's ministry events, senior adult events, Bible studies. This building will also house our church offices, providing an additional layer of safety and security for our school. This will ensure that visitors to our campus who haven't been properly background checked are not permitted onto school property during school hours. Second, once the church offices are removed from the education center, this space will be renovated into 18 new classrooms. These rooms will be used for adult Bible studies on Sundays and Wednesdays and will provide much-needed classroom space during the week for our school. Third, we're updating our parking. A new civil design will provide more and better parking throughout our campus. 50 to 60 additional parking spaces will be added on the south side of our campus. We're also petitioning the city for a traffic light on Ulmerton by Smiley's to make entering and exiting safer. Fourth, we're turfing our main athletic field. This year, we added 2 new sports to our high school program, boys lacrosse and girls flag football. Each year, we have over 1,000 participants in our recreation outreach ministry. With state contending athletic programs and no dedicated practice fields, our fields see a lot of activity. With this much foot traffic, we simply can't get the grass to grow. This year, we're going to invest in a 10-year artificial turf, allowing us to practice and play anytime, all year round. Fifth, a new campus at Northeast Park. Our greatest plan for expansion is new campuses. Earlier this year, Indian Rocks formed a strategic partnership with Legacy Church in the Northeast Park region of St. Petersburg. Just like those 9 brave families nearly 70 years ago, we're sending out a team of folks this year to start a new church and a new Christian preschool in a new neighborhood. Our preschool will open when school opens in August, and Indian Rocks Northeast Park Church will launch September the 7th of this year. Our vision is to put a neighborhood church and a neighborhood Christian school in a neighborhood building with a neighborhood pastor speaking the neighborhood language in every neighborhood in Pinellas County. I see these properties as training grounds for the gospel, our very own Christian Quantico, a place to reach, teach, and disciple in spiritual habits, a place for healing and forgiveness and right theology, a place to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable, a place to cultivate the calling that God has placed inside every believer. This church and this school would have never existed if it weren't for the partnership of those 9 families. I wonder how God is calling you to invest. I wonder how God is going to stretch your faith through this project. I wonder how God is going to use you to change lives right here in Pinellas County. I wonder how God is calling you to help us soar forward.